Singapore hiring fell 17.9% year-on-year in October, but the labor market is still tight. Job ads are also pointing to more flexibility, with mentions of remote work rising. We have here Callum Pickering of Indeed, Adrian Chiu of Career Agility International, and Kirsty Poltok of Robert Walters Singapore to discuss this. Welcome, glad you all three could join us today. So going straight to our topic, what's keeping the labor market tight even as hiring cooled in 2025?
Well, as you noted, job postings are down quite a bit over the past 12 months. And normally that'd be a sign that the job market or the economy is struggling. But this is no ordinary economic cycle. Even after easing for the past 3 years, job postings in early 2026 were still 38% above pre-pandemic levels. And in fact, that's actually true of around 90% of the occupations that we analyse at Indeed. So there's actually very few pockets of genuine hiring weakness across Singapore at the moment. What we've seen over the past couple of years, rather than a sign of economic weakness, is actually a normalisation of hiring activity. So the post-pandemic job boom was always unsustainable, but even with the declines over the past few years, we still have more than enough job creation to keep the unemployment rate low, which is why the Singapore unemployment rate has been stuck at around 2% pretty consistently over the past year or two.
Well, I think there is a lot of uncertainty in the market right now. There's more fear than there is people being rational. People are afraid of, in terms of what's happening in the Gulf, what's happening with the terrorists, and very pressingly, what's happening on the AI front as well. So we have a trifecta of unknown forces that are coming together and causing a lot of uncertainty in the market. So when companies are uncertain, what they'll do is that they'll just pull back and withhold the hiring. And that's why the job market is a bit tight at this point in time.
Based on our latest survey, the Robert Walters survey from 2026, the top challenges that employers cite for sourcing staff include a lack of quality candidates with the right kind of skills and experience, also a mismatch of salary and benefit expectations. And we're also seeing significant professionals adopt a job hugging kind of approach, as well as many companies offering counter offers to employees who are keen to leave. Even though hiring has slowed, the labour market remains tight because the labour supply hasn't expanded as quickly as demand in key sectors. And so worker mobility remains low. So we're seeing the workers stay put through job hugging, basically due to several years of uncertainty in the market. Employees are prioritizing stability over switching jobs. Then there's obviously core demands in structural key sectors like hospitality, healthcare, finance and tech. And these are all areas that Singapore's continuing to invest in, but there's still a shortage in the talent pool.
So what's exactly happening? What's behind the persistent skill shortages?
Right now, there is a lot of uncertainty in the market with regards to what skills are actually needed by the organizations. So we have a lot of people saying that we need to be AI educated, AI fluent. But what exactly does it mean? And how long does it take for an individual to be sufficiently skilled to deliver the kind of value at the level that the organization needs? That time lag actually causes a certain number of uncertainties with regards to being able to deliver the talent to the market on time.
In general, what we're seeing is a lack of skilled talent in all areas, but in particular, the demand for talent in AI, data, and cloud skills continues to outstrip supply, and that results in a skills mismatch. Industries like banking and finance are also starting to see AI applications go from pilot phases through to actual implementation, and various industries across the board are seeing increased AI usage. So I think with the economic and sectorial uncertainty, companies are also cautious in pay planning. So the talent in the market is responding extremely selectively or often taking on like gig or contract work.
Well, labour demand remains exceptionally high in many essential occupations, and these often reflect structural changes in Singapore's demographics or even things like technological change. The healthcare industry is a prime example. So an ageing population has created tremendous demand for doctors and nurses and aged care workers. And many countries, including Singapore, have struggled to meet that demand. And that's created persistent shortages over a number of years. We also continue to see shortages for roles requiring AI-related skills. So almost a quarter of Singapore job postings now mention artificial intelligence in their job descriptions.
So, as experts on the topic, we would love to hear your recommendations on this. How should employers adapt hiring and reskilling strategies for a more uneven selective market?
Yeah, I think the ongoing talent shortages, particularly in things like technical domains like AI, cloud, and data, mean that employers need to be more selective, selectively offering top of market salaries and sign-on bonuses to secure top talent. But money is not the sole factor that companies can leverage to win over preferred candidates this year. I think many companies have already rolled out upskilling initiatives or established apprenticeships or career progression pathways to business projects that can help employees stand out among the talent. And then also, we're seeing more businesses shift towards a flexible workforce model, which means that they're mixing permanent hiring with contractors. And I think leveraging the outsourcing service can help companies effectively control cost and scale.
Persistent skill shortages have encouraged Singapore businesses to invest heavily to expand capacity and increase the productivity of their workforce. Adopting AI is perhaps the most obvious example of that. And Singapore does appear to be embracing these tools and technology, faster than most other economies. It was particularly clear in the 2026 budget, just how committed Singapore is to making this transformation work. Productivity growth in Singapore has been strong in recent years, and that's allowed the Singapore economy to thrive even as many advertised roles go unfilled. Now, employers also just need to be aware that this continues to be a job market that is broadly favourable to the job seeker. And so placing emphasis on things that job seekers value, such as flexibility, work from home initiatives, other benefits, is a great way to stand out when candidates have options.
Singaporean employers are in a lucky spot because the government spends a lot of money, a lot of time setting up things like Skills Future, lots of training programs, even paid employee days in order for your staff to go on training programs. So I would recommend for employers to tap on the government programs that are already in place. But also what's more important, I feel, is for employees to take a more proactive role in terms of identifying what skills they lack and what they're lagging behind as well. And to go out and proactively sign up for these courses and continue to be learning agile. It's a twofold thing. The employers need to be able to invest time and effort and money in training, but the employees also need to be able to proactively embrace lifelong learning.
These are all very helpful points. Thank you so much for joining us today, Callum, Adrian, and Kirsty.
Thank you for having me.
Pleasure is mine.
Thank you so much for having me. Goodbye.
Once again, those were Callum Pickering, Senior Asia-Pacific Economist at Indeed, Adrian Hsu, CEO-Founder of Career Agility International, and Kirsty Poltok, Country Manager of Robert Walters, Singapore. For more news, visit sbr.com.sg.